All right, any given Sunday sports special. We're back. I won. Anthony won. Steve won. So you know we're in a good mood this week. You know
We
we're
are
all in a
happy.
great mood. Listen, Steve will be joining us. He's stepped away for a moment, so he's going to be joining us very shortly. But Anthony and I, we're itching to go. We want to get through these games because then we got picks to do. We're going to go a little bit special this week. We're going to say what these teams need. Should we be panicked about these teams? Should we not be panicked? Should they do a trade? What kind of trade? And also, we had a real big blockbuster that went down today. And there's so much to get into. It seems like a lot of the star saints are getting traded this season. Breeze got traded early on. Michael Thomas got traded early on. And there was another superstar from the Saints that got traded. We'll be going over that in a bit. But first, let's get to these games. Let's go ahead and start off with one of the easy games to pick of last week, which a lot of them were. Dr. Evil versus the Florida Thirst Traps. Dr. Evil scored 93. The Thirst Traps only dropped 59 points. Yuck. What do you got for this game, Ant?
Hey, man, it was a good overall game, but like I said, I figured Dr. Evil was going to win this one running away, and I'm not a prognosticator, but everything did work out the way I thought it was going to. He did not get a great game from Jared Goff.
Yeah, all right. There
Jared
you go.
Goff. Sorry. But, Gurley's right now the fantasy MVP of the season. He had 28 last week, and if I'm looking at his stats, he's the lowest he's had is 19, and that's been twice. Every game he's been above. He's putting up quarterback numbers at the running back position. He's doing great. You have Allen. He didn't perform at the top level, but he performed better than he has recently. Robert Woods, there was a great connection there. Christian McCaffrey, we said he would have a great week, and he absolutely did. On the opposite side, I think when you have your quarterbacks and you're kind of playing the merry-go-round, you don't know which one is going to land on. Matt Ryan did have a fantastic matchup. We all thought that. It just did not work out this week. It's a lot of single digits. Lewis, 2, Aguilar, 4, Cooks. There's nothing you can do about that. The guy got injured.
Yep.
Coleman comes back, but also Freeman is also available, but then neither one of those guys really did anything. Like I said, they lost 41-17. I figured that be a little bit more in the passing game, some more offense, but it didn't work out. Chris Carson performed well last week. I thought he would have been an option to slide in that running back over Deion Lewis. It wouldn't have helped out this week because just numbers-wise, no matter what kind of matchup or where he would have put it in, it probably would have still been a win for Dr. Evil. But, there are some moves that I think they might need to make. But what are your thoughts on this game for last week?
I'm going to first and foremost give props to Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil came through. They got the win. I would have liked to see Dr. Evil score 100 points. That I'm not a fan of because his team is a team that should week in and week out should be putting up 100 points every single time. So that kind of scares me a little bit. Nothing too major, but there is a slight concern there. But I'm just looking at it. They were the better team. We said it going, and this was probably going to be the blowout of the weekend. It absolutely was. On the other side, I know you guys say I tend to go easy on Gabe. I'm not going to do that this week. I'm absolutely not going to do that. Regardless, he wouldn't have won this game. But he goes ahead and he does a trade just before kickoff where he makes a trade for Alfred Blue and Allen Robinson. I understand Allen Robinson you can't play. He has a bye week. But why in the world do you trade for Alfred Blue if you're not going to play him? Because he's probably only going to be valuable 1 week and that's it. So what is the heck is the point of getting Alfred Blue in a trade if you're not going to use him and you're going to rather put Tevin Coleman with Devontae Freeman back, or you'd rather put Deion Lewis with Derrick Henry, and you never know who's going to do what there. That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace to fantasy football. That's a disgrace to coaching. And most of all, that's a disgrace to me because I taught this kid. I taught him how to do this stuff. So I'm disgusted in the way he handled that situation. Then on top of that, you kind of touched on it. Chris Carson proves himself, earned a spot in that lineup, but nope, he'd rather play a backup Tevin Coleman over him and a backup in Deion Lewis over him. It just doesn't make any sense. It baffles me. I love the Matt Ryan move. I was actually okay with that. It's only a 3-point difference, so I would have done the same thing. I would have played Matt Ryan. But to play Deion Lewis and Tevin Coleman over Alfred Blue when you knew Lamar Miller was hurt and Chris Carson when you traded for Alfred Blue just before kickoff, that made no sense for me. And to me, it kind of showed that he still has some rookie tendencies. So I was very disappointed in that. Overall, though, props to Dr. Evil because they earned his victory. All right. I got it out of my system. Next up, we got McPoon and the Goat Engines putting up 98. And they defeat my team sucks in Dom to 71. Anthony, what do you got for me in this one?
There was a move that Dom made that we're going to get back to very, very soon. Here's a tricky thing, and I know that we discussed this before. Deshaun Watson is a really good fantasy quarterback, but he's also actually a really good NFL quarterback at the same time. It's just that offensive line is terrible because you got to put it this way.
That's true.
They got 19 points, but he scored 23. So, I mean, he was doing a lot. And, I mean, he took some hellacious hits out there, and I don't know if he's going to last the season. That's going to be tricky. Mm-hmm. But right now he's getting the job done. You don't need to take him out. You don't need to move him or anything else like that. Go ahead and let that go. Yeldon had a terrific game. Again, a lot of injuries going on with that team. He's hurt. Grant's hurt. Fournette's hurt. They just recently signed Jamal Charles. That backfield's a mess, so we're not certain what we're going to do with that. Expect a little bit more from Will Fuller, but Davante Adams had a terrific game. Matt Breida had a very good game, but again, he's also hurt. Philip Lindsay is a guy who's the perfect flex guy. He's not going to get you 2, 3, 4. He's been consistently either at or very near double digits. You cannot complain about the things that he's doing there. I give him all props to that. On the opposite side, I mean, I know that Dom's searching around for a quarterback. And 19 from Stafford isn't bad. I mean, you want your quarterbacks to get into the 20s, but 19 isn't the worst in the world. Like I said, Watson only had 23. You're expecting a little bit more from Kamara. Again, we're going to get back to him. AJ Green showed up. Hill has a decent game. 8's good for wide receiver too. Kerryon Johnson, I still think is a terrific pickup. Adrian Peterson was also good, but again, I think he left the game with a separated shoulder, so we're not going to see how that's going to work out. There wasn't really much in this bench that really could have changed or altered anything that would have went on. Everything on this bench was basically single digits from that point forward. He made some moves. Again, we're going to get back to those. But all in all, you can't really knock what the McPoon handlers did. They got the job done. The guys who needed to score got the points that they needed to get. Close to 100 is all you really need to do. He's standing at 3-2 right now, so they're all going to tip our hats to him. But I know you have some thoughts on this, so Jesus, give them to me.
All right. So first and foremost, props to McPoon handlers. They've now won 3 straight after starting the season at 0-2. Phenomenal bounce back. They're starting to click on all cylinders. Will Fuller had a bad game, but I don't see that as something that's going to be consistent. I really like Will Fuller. Kittle's going to be good because let's face it, they have nobody else to throw the football to out there. Lindsey, like you said, 8 points, but 8 points is pretty good, and that's probably a bad game for him. So I'm a big fan of what's happening there. Jordy Nelson, I don't know. There's something going on with him. Yeah, all of a sudden, he's found the fountain of youth.
It's something. You know what it is? I think with that team more than anything else, when we look at his stats, I mean, he's getting the double figures, but it's really touchdown dependent.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't, but right now he's scoring. So.
But he's doing what Crabtree did. Yeah, but that's kind of what Crabtree was, touchdown dependent last year. And remember, Crabtree was a darn good receiver. If he does what Crabtree did last year, there's a lot of value there in Jordy Nelson. It's nuts. It's crazy to say, but he's quietly having a really good season.
Yeah.
So McPoon handlers, they're right in the thick of it. They're right in the thick of the playoff hunt. Props to them. If the season ended today, they would be in the playoffs. Now let's get to my team sucks. Because at the end of the day, the team name fits the team. That's just an absolute fact. I'm sorry to say it. But when you go into a draft and you completely disrespect the kicker position and you completely disrespect the quarterback position, that's 2 starting positions on your team, and you completely disregard it, guess what? You made your bed, now you lie in it. Because that's exactly what he did. He went in there thinking, oh, you know what? I'm going to beat Michael Clay. I'm going to beat Matt Berry. And all these guys say that kickers don't matter. And these guys say that quarterbacks don't matter because it's so deep the position. Well, you know what? This is why when you research your players, you don't go based off what other people say. You do your own homework. You study your own information, because those people are in a completely different league than what we're in. Guess what? Those guys, they're probably in a league where it's 4 points per touchdown for a quarterback. 4. As far as kickers go, those guys are probably in the league where if a kicker misses a field goal, he actually loses points. That doesn't happen in our league. So that makes the guys that actually make the field goals a lot more valuable. A lot more valuable. But again, you're too busy listening to these other prognosticators. Prognosticators. The Mike Fabianos, all these other guys, instead of you doing your own homework. And that's why you're in this situation, Dom. That's exactly why you're in this situation. Because you have football knowledge, but you got lazy. You got lazy and you just want to think you're smarter than everybody else when you're not. All you're doing is you're trying to listen to other people. You're listening to all these podcasts. That's great to help you, but that should not be the decision making for you. So with that being said, you try to sugarcoat it. Matthew Stafford gave you 19, which is a good game. He had 183 yards passing against the Green Bay defense, Anthony. 183 yards passing against the Green Bay defense. Now, I know you're trying to be nice, but if we're being real, if we're being fair, that's not nice. That's not good. That's not pretty. Alvin Kamara, 24 points. This is what's going to happen now with Mark Ingram there. So I'm not surprised there. Tyreek Hill against the Jags. Did you expect different? He traded for Kyle Rudolph. I actually like that deal. I think long term that'll really benefit him. Adrian Peterson going against that New Orleans. I told everyone that game was going to be a shootout. Peterson's value was going to be very little because of that. That's exactly what happened. I love Kerryon Johnson. So just overall, Dom, it's just sad because you have such good football knowledge, but you're lazy. You want to go ahead and rely on what other people say instead of doing your own homework, not realizing that our league scoring system is not a standard scoring system. Let's move on. Next up, let's do Slap Sauce. Drops 103, but they come up just short to a slightly punty vibe. A punty vibe going to 3-2, ending their skid. Slap Sauce goes to 2-3, now losing 2 straight. Anthony, what you got for me here?
I said that they said that we will win, and I'm not going to back up off that prognostication. Everything worked out exactly as I thought it would. Michael Thomas did not have the game I was expecting him to. There was a lot of offense, but it went somewhere else, and that's fine. It helped out his quarterback and Drew Brees. Kenny Drake actually had a terrific game for him. 16 points is nothing to laugh at. Yep. And David Johnson isn't really getting, say, yardage-wise, but he's getting the goal line work. They're doing enough to get him where he's going to score. That's all that really matters. DeAndre Hopkins had a fantastic game. That catch in overtime where he put on 2 spin moves. Beautiful. He hit the jump button, and that was great. He's fantastic. I love the guy. He's still in the roster. Eric Ebron was a fantastic pickup. We have to be honest this year. The tight end position is basically it's a graveyard. What you get from there is what you get from there, and that's all that happens. But Travis Kelce had a good game. I think he had 5 catches, like 100 yards. Yep. And that's very good. And that's terrific. But Ebron had the late touchdown. That helped a lot, and he's getting a lot of action. He's really involved in that offense, and I think that might stay the same even with Jack Doyle coming back eventually. I think right now there's something going on with him and Luck, and it kind of works. But quite simply, for my team, it was Thomas Williams and my kicker that were in single digits. For him, there were 5 guys instead of my 4 guys, and that probably is the big difference. I said that I would not expect the same thing from Corey Davis as he did the week before. I just didn't see it. I do like the guy personally. I just didn't see that kind of happening, and that's not really changing my mind or anything else like that. I just think that we had a better team. And there's a weird thing about these rosters that I always find intriguing, especially with Sean. The thing that I get a little bit confused by is that, you got to try to find talent wherever you're going to find it. But right now with his IR spot and his bench, and he's rostering 3 kickers. You only really need 1. Zerline's right now, he'll be back eventually. I'm eventually going to drop Ficken. So I'm going to assume that you're going to eventually drop Bailey. I just don't, and I'm going to assume that he's going to keep Jimmy G. I'm going to assume that because you have these spots there. What good use are there for? But not really going to complain about it more than anything else. I had a good week. It would probably have been great if I would have started Corral, but no one really saw that coming. No. But all in all, I think we did a good job. We got a really big challenge coming up this week. I'm going to tip my hat to Slap Sauce nonetheless because it did put up 103, but put up 122, and like I said, the winner takes it all. That's the more you can say.
So, Anthony, I'm actually very disappointed in you. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give you one more chance because you owe a big thank you to somebody in this league, and you didn't do that. So I'm gonna give you one more chance to go ahead and say a huge shout out and thank you to Mr. Dennis Graham.
Nah. Nah, I'm all right. I'm okay.
So yeah, no. On a serious note, listen, Anthony, much deserved victory for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm like, I gave Dennis a lot of credit last week when he went through hell with that game with Steve.
You
Like, I really
laughed at
felt bad for
him.
him.
No, you laughed at him.
You couldn't help but to laugh when you see something like that. You know, when these things happen, and because they rarely do, you gotta kind of laugh through the pain because I know it hurt. And I said he's going to take care of everything's going to be fine. Going to take care of business this week. That's exactly what he did. So of course I laughed last week. I'm not going to apologize for it. We're past that point, but he got the job done. So, you know what? You're right. Thank you, Dennis.
There you go. We're off the rails already. This is why we need Steve, because we're off the rails.
No.
All right. So, no, on a serious note. So, Anthony, you know what? Your guys showed up at the end of the day. You know, David Johnson, Phillip Rivers, DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, Michael Thomas didn't show up, but Demaryius Thomas did. Right? Demaryius Thomas did his thing. And I think that's interesting, Demaryius Thomas, because can he continue this is the question. We all know this is what he's capable of doing. His problem is consistency. I'm curious on that part. Also, you're going to have a little bit of a dilemma, because even when Jack Doyle comes back, I don't think Eric Ebron is going to disappear. I think Ebron has some value to him. So you're going to have some decisions to make with Evan Ingram and Ebron, I think. I really, really do. Yeah. On the other side, look, Slap Sauce, you dropped 103 points, which means most of the time you deserve to win. However, with that being said, I'm getting sick and tired of you not coaching your team properly. This is becoming a problem. I don't know what are you waiting for, but Josh Gordon should have been in your lineup. Granted, it wasn't going to make a difference. You still lose the game, but he should have been in your lineup. I just don't know. I don't understand. What is it? Yes, 2 catches, 50 yards. That's what you're going to say. Well, he only had 2 catches. Yes, that's true. But that's why you draft Josh Gordon. That's why you take him when you do, because of that possibility of that big play. You understand the risk-reward factor with him, but he should be in your lineup. That I don't understand. Juju shouldn't go anywhere because Juju's a solid receiver. But Corey Davis, we overreacted after 1 week, and we said it last week that he had one good game. I was not ready to jump on. I think he's very talented, actually. I think long-term he's going to be a really good receiver, but he hasn't built up the equity to be in a starting lineup in a fantasy football league. He just hasn't. So you have some work to do, Sean, but at the end of the day, you dropped 103 points, which tells me you deserved to win the game, but the other team just wanted it more. And give props to Anthony, because Anthony said before the week, you're going to hold this L. And guess what, man? You holding that L, my man. You holding that L. I hate to say it, but you really, really are.
I hate to seem like I was lying, so I'm glad it worked out my way.
All right, next game up, we had the New York Powers drop 152 to Pops' Jets Suck, who only put up 96. Not only, because 96 is a decent number, but put up 96. Anthony, what do you got for me in this one?
You said like I got something to say, man. There's 2 guys in your team that wasn't in double digits, and that's the defense and the kicker. Come on now. 2 guys, I was like that. It had 3 guys that were in the 20s. Ertz and Gordon were almost in the 20s. So with Michelle had 16 and Galladay had 15. Right? You run into a team like this and you run into these kind of problems. In reality, you have to kind of accept that sometimes it's not going to be your week and there's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing to really feel ashamed about. In all honesty, there really isn't. I mean, I wasn't expecting. This is why I hate this guy. Because he's the king of garbage time. Because Blake gets 24.
Trashed all garbage points.
Right. I mean, because I think he threw for over 400 yards.
Yep.
Yeah. They had 1 touchdown and 4 picks and a fumble. Come on. All right, knock it off. Right? You're expecting more from Elliott. It's fine. I believe in that Houston defense. I think they're getting healthy and the pieces are there. And like I said, he had 20 carries. It just didn't amount to much. These kind of weeks happen. It's all right. We're not going to get on Julio Jones.
Why?
I'm staying off. I'm going to stay off that soapbox. No.
I have to. Can you? I want you to talk about Julio Jones. What is your feelings 5 weeks into the season? Is Jesus right officially?
Yeah, it's truly this. When you have a team with a bunch of weapons, that's fine. It's like it's like having a 6-shooter. And you got 6 bullets, but there has to be the first one in the chamber. And he's supposed to be that guy. And I mean, he's getting a ton of yardage, but he's not getting the touchdowns. And like I said, by this point, it still hasn't happened. I think it's going to happen this week. And I mean, I'm the only reason I say this is because the 2 games that he went nuts were against Tampa Bay, and that's exactly who he's playing this week.
True.
So I see it happening against them, and that's when their secondary was kind of sort of okay. Their secondary is terrible now. So I see him finally getting to the end zone this week because he's historically lit them up. I think that having Joe Mixon, having him that week, great job. No complaints there. I was questioning the Mark Ingram thing, like how good is he going to be coming back? Apparently, they're going to make him a very big part of that offense. I respect it. I think that's a good idea. I got literally no problems with that at all. I do have a problem with him rolling out Bortles and not starting Rodgers. It would not have made a difference. But, I mean, you have so much invested in Rodgers, and I know he has not looked like himself, but they don't know what they're doing with their running backs at all. Jones is probably the best one of all 3, but he got the least amount of work last week. They're still rolling out Montgomery. They're still rolling out Williams. You got to roll with Aaron Rodgers. Understand that he has not looked as great but he's still who he is. And you got to give him a chance. Now, like I said, it would not have made a difference this week. No one stood a chance against the New York Prowls this week. But in reality, 96, nothing to scoff at. Like I said, you want to get as close to 100 as possible, and that's about the score that generally wins. It just didn't this week. So, I mean, I wouldn't feel bad about what happened. As a matter of fact, and we are going to get into this, I don't feel bad for Pops, not one damn bit. We're going to talk about that, but you pulled out the win with the higher scoring total this week.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so I want to just go ahead and say something because I don't think people understand the importance of total points. You said it wasn't a big deal. It wouldn't have mattered anyways. Blake Bortles was put in over Aaron Rodgers, which is a 12-point difference. Okay, here's why this is huge. Okay, let's say, for example, there is a 3-team tie for the final wild card spot. Remember, if it's a wild card spot, that means, and there's 3 teams tied, that means it doesn't go to head-to-head, it doesn't go to divisions, it goes straight to total points. Right now, you are getting, Pops is outscoring you by 8 points. 8. So if somehow you pass him in total points, and it's these 12 points right here could be the difference between him getting into the playoffs and him not. These kind of things right here are that important. You know, and I think that's a big problem with this league is people are always too much in the moment. Where a successful GM, and this is what I have to give, Steve, he's probably listening to me and I hate doing this, but it's just a fact. This is the big adjustment that I think Steve has made this year that he struggled so much with in the past, which Steve was always just in the moment instead of always trying to make sure I'm 3 steps ahead of these guys. That's the key. You always want to be ahead of the game. Yes, you're playing this week. Yes, you get your lineup for this week, but you're also making sure, okay, what's my lineup going to be next week? Do I have any bye weeks? Do I need to make sure I pick up somebody now because I may not get them the following week? And we're not doing that. And that's a big problem. And Pop's benching Aaron Rodgers for Blake Bortles. I get it. Blake Bortles going against Kansas City. Aaron Rodgers is kind of hurt. And he lost all his receivers. But at the end of the day, you tell me, I don't care if it's fantasy, I don't care if it's the NFL, at no point is it ever okay to say that Blake Bortles should be started over Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what we're talking in. Unless it's a loser league, that's the only way. That's the only time. Okay.
Right.
Guys, I know I sound very grumpy today. I'm sorry. Trust me, I'm ecstatic. I'm happy. I love fantasy football. I'm just a little stressed about my Yankees, but that's besides the point. So it has nothing to do with fantasy. Trust me, guys. All right. So let's actually get to the game itself.
Marino bumped it up.
All right. So Pops, on your side again, Blake Bortles made no sense. Elliott, I get it. Julio Jones, Steve, I know you're hearing me somewhere, and I just want you to finally admit it. Just admit it. Julio Jones should not be in the upper echelon of wide receivers. He's not that guy. He'll be good. He's a Jarvis Landry. He deserves to be in that level with the Jarvis Landrys of the world and the Alshon Jeffries. That's the level that he's in when it comes to fantasy football. Okay, I love Mark Ingram. I had him last year. Trust me, I love me Mark Ingram. I think that's good. That's a great thing for Pops. Joe Mixon, I love Joe Mixon. But we're going to talk about that in a little while as well.
Yeah.
Okay. On the other side, the New York Powers, what did they do? They just trotted out their lineup. I took a risk, right? I went ahead. I benched Patrick Mahomes, the number one scoring quarterback in fantasy football. People thought I was probably out of my mind. And I put in Carson Wentz, who hadn't shown anything all year. But it turned out to be the right move. And this tells me that I really have a good grasp of my team. I really know what it is that my team should and should not be doing. So I'm ecstatic about that. I am absolutely ecstatic the way the moves that I'm making, the decisions that I make week in and week out. It's just we're right now we're clicking on all cylinders. Pops is a dangerous team. Is a very dangerous team. But you have to start to question if he doesn't win this week, which there's a trade that he made that is not going to help him win this week. Is it too little too late? That's what we're going to determine. All right, last game. We have the Daytona Daunting Ducks lose 104 to the Tampa's Empire, dropping 107. This game went all the way down to the wire. Will Lutz couldn't get one more field goal attempt. Just one more is all he needed. He wasn't able to get it. So the Daytona Daunting Ducks end up losing. Anthony, what do you got for me here?
It hurts. It hurts to lose that way, especially when you finally get Tom performing like the Brady that you expected him to. Connor has not had a good past few weeks, but this week, 2 touchdowns, got a lot of touches, really showed up. I think they're going to try to give him the ball as much as possible. It's this, and I know that we discussed it before. You mentioned, as a matter of fact, I think it might have been week 2 or week 3, that the Eagles are going to roll out Jay Ajayi out there, and he's playing, and he has basically a small fracture in his back.
Yep.
Okay. The issue with Jay Ajayi will be, and continues to be this. He runs very hard, extremely hard, and he's not a wiggle dance kind of guy. He takes a lot of damage out there.
Yep.
And he's already had a back problem. As a matter of fact, the guy is so tough, he tore his ACL in the game and he kept playing. So I'm going to give him props to that. But do you roll out Jamal Williams? Maybe. Do you roll out Bilal Powell? Maybe. I think that sometimes you have to roll a dice and just see what happens. But like I said, it's when you put him in at the flex spot, it's not a spot you're expecting a lot from. It's really a boom or bust kind of position. You get Brady going, you get Connor going, you get Thielen going, then you get nothing else besides that. And like I said, if Will Lutz makes one more, but we're speaking something different. Vance McDonald, everyone's speaking about him, nothing happens. Jay Ajayi gets hurt. It's hard to have 2 guys in the lineup with 0. Steve had his kicker, and his kicker gave him nothing. And that's okay, because Luck gives you 28. Tom gives you 30. Only 5-point difference there. Barkley has had another game, a lot of touches, some things to the air, to the ground. 24 points. You got 30 on the opposite side. Marvin Jones doesn't have a great game. Only has 6. They only had 17. So, okay, all the matchups right now from his 3 guys are working in his favor. But then it goes down. Landry gets 6. Kupp gets 15. Kupp gets 15, and he didn't even play the whole game. McDonald, like I said, tightens the wasteland. And Cook performed well last week. He only got 2. But, it's everything's starting to swing that way.
Yep.
Gets 14. Jay Ajayi gets nothing. Jones gets 5. Jeffrey gets 3. The defense gets 13. Eagles get 7. Those little point swings make a huge difference when you really think about it. And it mattered this week. Like I said, if Will Lutz makes a 40-yarder,
it's over.
We speak about it different.
Yep.
But
even if he makes a 30-yarder, he wins because of bench points.
Yeah, and that's what happened. It just is so when you have these games from time to time, and we've had a few pretty much every week. Like the margin of error is pretty thin. Like you're just expecting this guy or that guy to just perform just a bit and everything else to that degree.
All right.
The thing that I respect about Steve more than anything else is that because of the way his roster is set up, and I know that he's going to make some moves and everything else regarding his Tampa Bay. It's basically You've got 4 guys from Tampa Bay right now. But the thing that I really admire about him is this: when he puts his team out there every week, what you see is that you really see stacks. You really see more than anything else. You see a bunch of guys, all from different teams. So he's never jammed up. Okay. Jose had to put out Connor, he had to put out McDonald. You're hoping you get a lot from him. He had to put out Jai, and he had to put out Jeffrey. So you're hoping both of those guys go off, but if neither one of them go off, and you have the defense out there, it's difficult. But the way Steve sets his lineup, the way his team is set up, you're welcome, Steve, that it's so spread out. It works well in his favor. It's not like he's depending on like 2 guys from this matchup or 3 guys from that matchup. It's guys from all over the place from different teams, hoping that, just find a one different matchup and anything else like that. But, I mean, he pulled it out by the skin of his teeth, but again, it doesn't matter. As long as you win is what you win. Yep. Right now, he's 4-1. There's not much more you can say. He lost game 1, and after that, he's been on a streak. Yes. So I just wanted to keep it rolling.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure you got some thoughts on it. So
I'm gonna be very quick. Yeah, I'm gonna be very quick because I want to give with these picks, we're gonna do something a little bit different this weekend. We kind of ran a little bit long on these. Really quick. I don't feel bad for the Daytona Daunting Ducks. Again, you guys think that I'm always nice to certain people and I'm mean to only Dom and Pops, but that's not true. The Daytona Ducks, they made this bed, they're gonna lie in it. The Daytona Daunting Ducks had a chance to maybe land either an Alvin Kamara, a Devontae Freeman. They had a chance. All they had to do was give up Russell Wilson. And they chose to stand pat. Why did they choose to stand pat? Makes absolutely no sense when you have Tom Brady on your team. This team was not asking for a starter on your roster. They weren't. They were asking for a person that's your backup, and you would have automatically gotten a player that would have been a starter on your team. So you know what, Daytona Daunting Ducks? I hate to say it, but you want to go ahead, you want to stand pat, that means you want to stay in this bed. So guess what? You're going to now lie in it. That's exactly what's going to happen. On the other side, Tampa's Empire, they always seem to be into these really tight, close games, and you know what? They're pulling it off. And one last thing I'm going to say is Steve looks like a genius. Because if you remember in the offseason, Steve traded Leonard Fournette for Kareem Hunt. Well, that showed to be a pretty darn good deal. And then Leonard Fournette then got traded for Julio Jones. Out of those 3 guys that played Ring Around the Rosie, guess what? Kareem Hunt is the best player out of all of them. Props to Steve. Steve absolutely earned that. 110% he earned it.
You're so nice, man. I jump on and I'm greeted with this. This is amazing. I like
this. Whatever.
You guys are showing me you're showing me much love here, and I'm hoping that the previous couple of minutes there are more compliments like this, fellas.
How come I can see your cheese from over here? I'm not even next to you, and I can see that cheese. I could definitely see it. All right, so really quick with Steve back here, just so you guys know, with these upcoming games, we're just going to give you who we're going to pick to win, but then we're just going to really say, and it's going to be very quick, but we're going to tell you guys what we think each team needs to do to get in the playoffs, or if there's just no hope for them whatsoever. And I really want us to touch on that. So we're not going to tell you about the matchups this week and this or that. That's not the focus this week, guys. We're just going to let you guys all know. Steve, with that said, the floor is yours, man. All yours, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, let's start off with the 2-3 Thirst Traps playing the 1-4 My Team Sucks. Let's talk about. I'll kick it to you, Jesus, the team who you're picking, and what each team needs to do.
Okay, so I'm actually gonna go here with My Team Sucks. I think they pull it off. And even with the issue at quarterback, I truly do think that they are gonna go ahead and win this game. Gabe is scaring me, and I don't like Carlos Hyde against the Chargers, which I said I'm not gonna go into that. I'm sorry. Yes, it's just so hard, right? We're used to it. So I look at Gabe's team. First of all, Allen Robinson. He traded for Allen Robinson. I think that's an excellent, excellent trade. Why is he not in the lineup? So what does Gabe need to do? Gabe needs to add another impact player to get that other flex position. He's good with Carlos Hyde. He's good with Carson. He's good with Cooks. He's good with Allen Robinson. But he needs that one other flex spot. How can he do it? What can he dangle out there? What he's going to have to dangle out there, guys, I hate to say it, is he's going to have to hope Peyton Barber has a good game this week. And if Peyton Barber has a good game, move him. Move him right away, because that's the only way. Other than that, he's going to have to get creative and start offering up his waiver. That's the only shot. On the other side, Dom, I know you guys are itching to kill him for it. I'm I don't like the Bortles move. I really don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't like the Bortles move. But I like Joe Mixon, guys. I really, really like Joe Mixon. And I think Joe Mixon can be just as impactful as Alvin Kamara. I truly believe that. I think Joe Mixon is going to be rock solid. My only problem is as I told Dom, he could have gotten more than Blake Bortles. That's the issue there, is that Blake Bortles part of it. So what does Dom need to do? Dom needs a quarterback for this week. Because if Dom loses this week, that's it. It's lights out. There's no way he's going to make the playoffs if he loses this week. That's what I got.
I'm going to go real quick next. I also have Dom in this matchup. As far as what each team needs to do, I agree with you. I do like the Joe Mixon. It's just... and it looks, and maybe he's a genius. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. But Alvin Kamara, correct me if I'm wrong, in standard leagues was number 1, number 2 running back in the league. I get it. He had a bad week last week, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what prompted him to be like, you know what? This is the beginning of the doom for Kamara. And if that's the case, major props to him. But I just don't see it. So to me, I look at it as he downgraded in every aspect. And even to your point, he should have gotten way more out of it. I mean, Kamara, wins games. I mean, he was the only bright spot on this very glim roster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now he traded the one piece that I think, in my honest opinion, he could have gotten a king's ransom for. And the fact that he didn't get that, that's why I sent the text to the group like, does he really believe that, Ingram coming back is that detrimental to Kamara's value?
He may have overreacted to Monday night. Yeah, he may have overreacted to Monday night. Yeah.
And if it continues, then you know what? I will come back on the show and I will say, Dom, you were right. I was wrong. I know nothing. But I can't say that today. I'm sorry, my man.
But come on, Steve.
You took the L.
Steve, come on.
The L on this trade.
Steve, come on. He got on you when you were trying to move Deshaun Jackson, and he talked about how trash Deshaun Jackson was. And then he goes and he trades for Blake Bortles. You have to have a comment. You have to have something to say about that. You have to.
Oh, I mean, this just shows why his team is a one-win team. A one-win team this far. You know what? And he's lucky. The only reason why I'm giving him this win is because, unfortunately, the other guy in the other team has made very bad moves as well.
That's right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only reason why I'm giving him the W. And the other guy, I mean, he's got a lot of matchup problems. But again, we're not talking about matchups. So for the thirst traps, I mean, I'm a little confused as to what they're doing. I really am.
I like the Allen Robinson trade though. I think that was a good move for him. Getting Allen Robinson. He's a guy that gets a lot of targets. He gets a lot of targets. I think that's not a bad move. It's the other flex spot that's the issue.
I don't know. I didn't like the move personally. I just don't. I don't see the value in him.
Allen Robinson or Nelson Aguilar? Who would you rather have in your lineup?
Allen Robinson. I'm just not a big Allen Robinson fan. I see, because the volume is there, and that is intriguing, and I will agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. But the production is up and down, and I get it. I mean, basically what he gave up, I get why he did it.
Yeah, he gave up nothing, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the other end, people want to dog Deshaun Jackson. This is where I'm going to give him credit. He's actually trying to do something, because today people can hate on Deshaun Jackson all they want. At the end of the day, my man's still a top 10 receiver. He's still putting points at the end of the day.
Maybe that's his other flex. Maybe that's his other flex.
And that's what I was going to tell you is I still agree with you. He needs to find another flex. I just think the answer is more Deshaun Jackson than it is Allen Robinson, because I'm basing it based on the fact that Deshaun Jackson is actually producing results. Okay. And in this league, you need results in order to win. And so I agree with you. He still needs to find one more spot. Anthony, who do you got?
I'm going with Dom, and I'm going to kind of keep this quick. Look, man, I don't think Blake Bortles is just a good quarterback. I think that the Jaguars are Super Bowl ready, except for the most important position. I think you could have got a little bit more for him, and I think you're underestimating Kamara's value more than anything else. I think you have that one bad week and everything else like that, and Ingram's coming back, so let me get rid of Kamara. Now, in any other way, I understand how that would kind of sort of make sense. But they performed well together last year. I don't see that changing. I think that Kamara is a lethal pass catching back. Gins hurt. They're going to get him the ball one way or the other. I think even if it's a timeshare, it's a very valuable, expensive timeshare. Those guys are going to get a lot of points just like they did last year. I don't see that changing. To make that shift from one quarterback to another to get a lesser quarterback and give up the better piece doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I just wanted to prove me wrong. I don't think Mixon's bad. I don't think that. And I don't think even with that split that New Orleans has, that it's going to drastically decrease Kamara's value. Maybe he won't give you 24, 25, but 18, 19, sure, still do that. He's just as effective in the passing game. I think, as you guys have said, he's made this move. You're going to see what happens with it. I'm not certain what other moves he can make. I think he's going to roll with this and definitely going to see what's going to happen. I think for the thirst traps, I think they should absolutely start either Deshaun Jackson. As a matter of fact, start Robinson and both. Start Robinson and start both. I think it really comes down to this. Because I'm not certain. I think you just basically swap out Aguilar, or you maybe swap out Cooks because he left that game with a concussion. He may or may not be cleared in time. So you might not have any other choice but to play him anyway. So you've got to kind of see how that works out. But if he's trading something to try to see if an upgrade, especially if he's not going to keep him, he just may. I'm not certain. But if he wants to move a piece, because like I said, that position has been kind of shaky all year, I'd probably move Gronk. I know it's something to say, but he's the most valuable thing that he has right now. The tight end position is just not that great. And if someone was really interested in him and he can really get something for him to improve that flex spot and other pieces around his team, maybe a slight upgrade at running back or something else like that, I'm not certain how far Carlos Hyde can carry on like this. I think that's something that, he may want to.
That's a great point. Real quick thing I wanted to add is I think these two teams should talk to each other after this week. And I think Gabe needs to look at Chubb as down the road. That's the last thing that I'll say.
Okay. Yep, we got a lot more to get to, so come on, let's speed this up. What we got next?
All right, next game we have 2-3 Slap Sauce playing 2-3 Dr. Evil. I will go first on this one. I obviously have Dr. Evil picked in this game. As far as a roster construction, what he can do, I really don't see much. I think Dr. Evil is in a good place. I mean, he made a rash decision at wide receiver, which benefited some certain individual who's on the show that I will not say his name. But the reality is he still has a deep roster, and I just don't really think there's much of an upgrade. Slap Sauce, my man, you have to do something. You have to switch it up. And the funny part is I don't even know where to start off. There's one bright spot in Drew Brees, but he's on a bye, and you got Big Ben there, but it's against Cincinnati, and Kenyon Drake is so hit and miss, and I don't know. I feel like you need to find somebody who may like Kelsey, and try to get something else because you need a lot of help. Yeah. I just can't tell you what, because there's just too many spots where I feel like he needs help at.
Okay.
Jesus, who do you feel?
I'm gonna go with obviously Dennis, right? The better team without a shadow of a doubt. But with that being said, I do disagree slightly with you. I do think Dennis does need to make a move. Dennis needs to trim down all those Rams on his team. He has just way too many of them, in my opinion. So either Woods got to go, either Gurley got to go, or either Goff got to go. Because here's the thing and this is where people don't think ahead. And Steve, I don't know how much you were listening to early on. I gave you credit because you've been thinking ahead. Dennis is a team that we all expect to make the playoffs. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
The pace that these Rams are going, you have to question how useful are they going to be for him in the playoffs. Come the championship. Yeah. So you got to prepare yourself for that. And I think that's where he has to start making a move to a team that needs to win now. Because I think even if Dennis makes a trade this week, I still think he beats Slap Sauce unless he trades Todd Gurley, which he's not going to do. So, yeah, I do think Dennis needs to make a move because he has just way too many Rams on his team. That's the one thing. On the other side, Slap Sauce, They need a running back. That's just
They
flat
need
out.
more
Let's
than
put it
that.
that way. Because I like Jordan Howard, but you just question how much you're going to get out of him. His one hope, and here's the one hope: LaShawn McCoy gets traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Because
Yeah.
if that happens, now all of a sudden you're looking at a potential lineup of Breeze, of Jordan Howard, LaShawn McCoy, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Josh Gordon. That's a hell of a lineup. That's a championship contending lineup. But it all comes down to that. Is LaShawn McCoy going to get traded to the Eagles? He's not there right now, so we got to go based on what we see right now. So yeah, he has to make a move unless he's going to bank everything that LaShawn McCoy gets traded. That's his only hope. I try to go as quick as I could. Anthony, now it's yours.
Dr. Evil this week, I think, like I said, Slap Sauce has 3 buys. And those are what Breeze and Kid Tater, those are 2 of your best players, so you got to do something about that. I think he should probably start Jordan Howard this week versus Miami. I think Sean McCoy is a bad matchup, but I think if the trade does work out and he does end up in Philadelphia, I think that's a move he probably wants to make. Again, things for pieces of the future. Again, I do believe that he probably does need a running back, maybe something else, but at wide receiver, Juju has been doing well, but are we necessarily going to consider him a number 1? I think he may be a high end number 2. Maybe he can get his hands on something else like that. Again, Steve did bring up the possibility of maybe moving Kelsey. I think it's a possibility. I think because there's so many spots and people are like weak at tight end, I think that between Kelsey and Gronk, I think people will offer some valuable for him if that's something he might be interested in. And again, like I said, you got 3 kickers, you only need 1. Count for 2 of them to go, trying to make some moves.
All right, there you have it.
Yeah.
Next game we have is the Daytona Daunting Ducks, 1-4. Powers 5-0. I will go quickly on this one. I got the Powers in this one, obviously. As far as roster changes, I don't think the Powers really have anything to do, so they should stand pat. On the other side, Daytona Daunting Ducks. Really, I feel like they need to get some receivers, and they need to consider moving Le'Veon Bell as a value pick. Le'Veon Bell's going to play at some point in the season. Get anything you can for that guy because he's not adding value. And quite frankly, you have Connor there, and I don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to come back and report for the Steelers. I really do think the Steelers are going to try to find a partner somewhere before bringing them back. So move Bell. Try to get something out of him to repair some of that roster needs at wide receiver. And there you have it. Anthony, who do you got?
Let's see. We're going to go with the Powers again in regards to their roster. Right now, I think everything's going to be pretty much stand pat. Don't make anything strange. Don't make any additional moves. I think what you worry about more than anything else that the guys in this team make sure they continue to perform and stay healthy. They have so far this season. That has not been an issue. On the opposite side, I do agree with you. I'm not sure what you can get for Bell, but I think it's worth a try. Like I said, you got Wilson out there. You got Olsen coming back, but I don't know what value he's actually going to have. But again, of my mind, I'm thinking a lot about moving a lot of tight ends. Like I said, a lot of people are weak at that position, so if you get a chance to have one and maybe help out the better part of your roster, I would probably do so. I think Bilal Powell's an interesting play against Indianapolis. I think right now the Powell's just in a roll. They have very good matchups. Mahomes against New England, Sonny Michel, I think it's a very good matchup. Zach Ertz also, Antonio Brown against Cincinnati. Melvin Gordon might be a little bit tough against Cleveland. That defense a lot better than what we thought it is. But I think Stephon Diggs is absolutely great. And he has his Bears defense right back starting again against Miami. So you got to roll with the Powers. Like I said, they're undefeated right now. Nothing's going to change.
Yep, I'm going to go with myself as well. I think that we're just a better team. And I don't think there really is any more moves to make. Unless something falls in our lap, I don't foresee it. I think we've prepared ourselves for now, and we're slowly starting to prepare. I don't want to jinx myself, but we're preparing for something bigger than just right now as well. So I do think that we need to stand pat. On the other side, Daytona Daunting Ducks, move one of your quarterbacks. Just do it. Because you have 2 of them, and one of them could get you a ton of value. Just move them, please. I'm begging you. Stop saying you're just going to go down with the ship. Try, fight, go down swinging, because this is just, it's an embarrassment. I'm sorry, but it is. It's an absolute embarrassment that you're just gonna go ahead and just accept losing like this because it's your first year. So what if it's your first year? You still go out there and you still try to win games. So yes, move one of your quarterbacks and go get yourself a wide receiver. Go get yourself a running back. Go get yourself a flex. Do something. Do something. Show that you have some fight in you. That's all I got there.
All right. Next game we have is a slightly punty vibe. 3-2. They're playing the Jets Suck, who are 2-3. Anthony, you first. Who do you got?
I'm gonna pick the vibe, even though I don't feel comfortable with it. I'm gonna roll with it, and I'm gonna try to explain this logic as quickly as possible. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a terrific game against San Francisco, and I think Phillip Rivers is going to have an okay game against Cleveland. Again, I think that defense is pretty good.
You're going over matchups. We're not supposed to do matchups.
No. I'm not rolling to matchups. I'm just looking at it because I'm thinking about how tight it's going to be in my mind.
Okay.
More than anything else. I think what I worry about, because we discussed it before Steve came on, I think I do have a lot of matchups in my favor. I think the thing that I'm worried about more than anything else is that, say, if Rodgers goes off, but we discussed before about Julio Jones, and even though he's been struggling, he always has these outstanding 250, 300-yard games against Tampa Bay. And guess who he's playing? Tampa Bay. I think that's a lot to overcome. I think get Edelman involved and something else like that. But I'm going to pick myself, but it's going to be by a very thin margin. Do
you feel good about your roster? Or you standing pat?
No, I think I may be interested in moving around Crowell. I think I'm okay at quarterback. I think Andy Dalton can perform just enough. I think I'm maybe do some shifting with the running backs, Miller and Crowell, and packaging with something else and maybe upgrade at that position. Like it's good having David Johnson, but eventually he'll have him by, and I don't trust any of those running backs. Maybe I can find someone else I can upgrade at that position. I think with Pops, I don't think he needs to really do anything. The only reason I say that is because maybe eventually he'll need a quarterback for Aaron Rodgers' bye week. Hopefully he finds something. But again, I think it's just a terrific deal that you get Ingram and Kamara. You can match them up with Elliott and Rodgers and Jones.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that I can pull out this week just to kind of put some space between us because putting those five guys out on the field, that's a really loaded team. And like I said, it was a terrific move by him. So I think he's already made his move. I might try to do something about the running back position more than anything else. But, I mean, that's my idea and that's my thought. About the improvements on my team, but I'm going to leave it up to you, gentlemen.
All right, Jesus.
Yeah, I got Anthony. I think Anthony's going to win this game, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not confident. I'm scared. I'm nervous because this is a chance to put a sleeping dog. You know how they say, let him sleep. Don't, let a sleeping dog lie. Yeah. That's Pops right now. He did this trade. He almost sacrificed basically this week. So if you don't beat him this week, I'm telling you right now, I think Pops makes the playoffs because that Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram stack is a damn good stack. I'm telling you guys that right now. Yes, it's two running backs on the same team, but that's different. That's special, those two guys, when they play together. So this is the time. If we don't put him to bed now, he's going to be a problem. Pops doesn't need to make any more moves. I mean, yeah, sure. Would you like to see him add another flex just for this week over Boyd? Sure, but he could technically go with Doug Baldwin. I mean, he could do different things here or there. He could put in Alex Collins, so he has options. On the other side, Anthony, what would I like for you to do? I want to see you get your other flex position fixed. Yes, this week right now you have Morris and Mike Williams, but that's only because Michael Thomas is out. But he'll be back next week. But it's that other flex position. Mike Williams. I love Mike Williams. We all know that. But I don't think he's at that point where he's consistent enough to be a consistent starter for you. And right now, unfortunately, you're almost forced to have him be that consistent starter. So that's what scares me. I do want to see you make a move to get another flex. And yes, I think the way to do it is by packaging a Crowell and a Lamar Miller or a Crowell and Alfred Morris and getting a more consistent player.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to take the upset on this one. I think Pops pulls it off slightly, and I think it's going to be a really close game. And the only reason why I'm looking at that Minnesota-Arizona game, I think Minnesota is going to score a lot of points for some reason. I just get this sick feeling that they're due.
Yep.
And then Julio Jones, you said it, Anthony. The fact that Julio Jones is playing Tampa Bay basically eliminates Ezekiel Elliott playing Jacksonville and any other thing on that roster because I'm telling you, and we'll get to it once we talk, till later. But any Atlanta player that you have playing against Tampa Bay and that offense, you absolutely start, because it is going to be a 4-5 touchdown game, and Julio Jones is going to get 2 of them at the very least. At the very least.
We say this every week.
You say that, but watch. Julio Jones.
I think you're right. No, I do think you're right. I do think that you're right, though. I'm just tired of saying it every week.
Okay. All right. So, as far as roster construction, real quick, I think Pop's made an amazing move. The fact that he's going to be able to roll out Elliott, Kamara, and Rodgers, that is disgusting. And then we're not even talking about the rest of his team. On the other side, Anthony, I'm a little bit worried, and I don't think I understand your QB situation. I just feel like you can probably do better. And yes, I think Mario Williams is he's not there yet. He will get there. I was right on Ebron, by the way. I said this 2 weeks ago.
You did.
So the tight end area, you're right on. My concern, though, is quarterback and flex. I mean, I understand you're going to be playing it by matchups, but I feel like you have the firepower to get one of these elite quarterbacks that are out there in the top 5, top 6 that you don't have to worry about. So that's it. That's all I got.
All right, one game left.
Yes, game of the week. It's the only 2 teams with winning records playing each other, and they're both in the West. 4-1 Tampa's Empire against 3-2 McPoon handling Goat Engines. I will go first and leave it to you guys. I picked myself in this one. Again, I've alluded to it before. This is the main reason why I wanted to do a trade this week and for future matchups as well. Matt Ryan is the real deal, and the fact that he gets to play Tampa Bay twice is something that I will sign up all day. And yes, I am starting him over Luck. And yes, this guy is going to blow up. I get Mike Evans back against Atlanta. I have some really good matchups on my side, so that's why I'm picking myself. On the other side, with Rich's team, Rich, you got to do something with Fournette, man. I don't know if there's any value with him, and maybe you're holding on to him, but you got a lot of guys where I think people would talk to you. Maybe an Amari Cooper, I don't know. Maybe everybody thinks Amari Cooper's garbage, but there's some names there that, I was iffy on in the beginning of the season, and I still am, but they may have later value for you. I don't know. And I'm thinking maybe you move like a Fuller and somebody else to upgrade, knowing, because if you're believing in Fuller, if you're keeping him on your roster, or Fournette, and you're keeping Cooper on your roster because you believe in them, then trade the other guys that already have value for something else. Because if you think that Fournette's going to come back to form and Cooper's going to come back to form, then you don't need some of these guys who are performing, like a Philip Lindsay, a Fuller, and you can get some guys and upgrade a 2 and turn it into 1. And that's my thinking.
Okay.
Turn it to you.
I'll go next on this one. So I'm going to take the Empire. I think the Empire just have a better team. As far as what the Empire need to do, I'll be honest with you. I think they need to stand pat. They've done their move. They've done what needed to be done and nothing else. Stay still, sit, and now you prepared yourself for now, for the future, and the long-term future. There's nothing further you need to do at this point in time. What I will say, and this, listen to me, everybody, right now on this. Todd Gurley has a backup running back. If I'm anybody in this league that has an open roster spot, that's the move I make. Because if Todd Gurley down the road either sits down or gets hurt or something like that, that guy's a difference maker. I don't know, Steve, if that's a defensive move that you could play. I don't think you have the roster spot to do it, but I'm just letting the league know in that. But Steve, there's no trade for you to make at this point in time. The only thing maybe what you could do is try to trade for future waiver moves, so that way if you want to get a player down the line, you can move up in the waiver wire down the road, like I kind of did. And then just pocket those waiver picks just down the road for yourself. On the other side, Rich, I look at it overall. I kind of think for Rich, this is what he has. I don't see much that he can do because Fournette's not going to get you any value at this point in time. Jordy Nelson, while he's playing good, I don't think anybody's really believing the hype in that one yet. Philip Lindsay, okay, yeah, sure, I guess he could trade him, but I don't think he's going to get full value just because of the name. There's not a player that you could say, okay, if he trades him, he's going to get this type of value back. I don't foresee it. So to me, Rich, you're 3-2. You've won 3 straight. Ride it. Just ride this wave and hope Fournette gets healthy and hope that Cooper comes back. But just ride this wave as long as you possibly can. There's really nothing else that he can do at this point in time, in my honest opinion, that'll improve his team. Just because he's either going to trade you a big name that has low value or a no name that has high value that nobody's going to give you equal value for. It's a no-win situation for him. Anthony, you close us out.
I believe that we're going to go with the Empire this week. It's just a better matchup. I think as of right now, I don't think we need to really speak much on it. I think Steve just needs to stand pat. I don't think there's much move that you need to make when your team is 4-1. I think it's a very solid roster. He gets his pieces back. I think they're going to stretch it out to the playoffs. I think on the opposite side, really on that roster, the only guy that's actually untouchable is Deshaun Watson. Everyone else can go. I mean, you've been rolling out Philip Lindsay for the past few weeks. You might as well just see what you can get for Freeman. Breida's right. Breida's a good back, but right now he's injured. So we're going to see how that goes. He's questionable to play, but no one knows right now. I believe he's doubtful. Watson and Adams are pretty much untouchable. Yeldon was good to have, but again, he's dealing with injury. Same thing with Fournette. I think outside of Watson and Adams, I mean, if you can bundle up any pair of these guys and try to do something to upgrade your roster, you absolutely should. Like I said, I mean, you have Jack Doyle that's out, but I mean, I wouldn't worry about that. If you plan on keeping McKinnon, I don't think Yards can kind of just get him out of the way, just remove him out of the IR spot. But I mean, Cooper's a movable piece. Fournette's movable. Freeman is a new one. You might be able to get something for. Like I said, Jordy Nelson's been performing lately. Maybe you can get someone to go ahead and grab on that. I think that will be a nice piece to move where you bundle in with something else. But I think he does need a whole lot of help. I mean, standing at 3-2, he's doing enough right now, but I'm not certain if it's sustainable. But with the right roster choices and the right GM move, I think he can stay in the race, but something has to get done.
All right. Well, that's it. I promise you guys next week we're going to do much less on the recaps because these are important things. We're going to get a lot more in depth as far as rosters. We're even going to give you guys our predictions for the playoffs. I promise you guys on that. Steve, you could close us out if you want.
Yeah, I mean, just keep in mind that the teams who are on the cusp who are 2-3, this is really, and I'm talking about the thirst traps, the slap sauces of the world. You know what I mean? Like these guys who are sitting at that 2-3 spot. You know, only it's still early in the season, guys. We're talking 2 games. Make the call. Pick up the phone. And look, just because we said that there is a team that doesn't need to make a trade, I would still absolutely be calling Jesus and saying, "Hey, man, what can you give? What can I update? What can I give you?"
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because like a team like Slap Sauce, who maybe throw out Gronk, that might intrigue Jesus to be like, you know what? I can give him a tight end and one of my bench guys back.
Yep.
I'm just saying, ask. Just send a text message. It is not that hard.
The worst thing that happens is you get told no. That's the worst thing that happens.
Exactly. That's how I'm gonna close it out, fellas. Just pick up the phone, text, ask. Even if it's your rivalry. And I've done it. I'll be honest. And Dennis can vouch for this. I've sent him texts. I mean, he told me no, but I've sent him texts and sent him offers because you might as well just ask. That's it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, everybody, be on the lookout. You never know. Let's see what happens. There may be more trades in the works, so let's see what happens. I'm out of here. Y'all stay safe. Right. Be safe. We are out.
Adios.
Peace.
Good night.